Hey guys, I'm going to do a Throwback Thursday video for you. I did this video almost 2 years ago. Some of you new to the channel probably never seen it. But I have 5 electric motors here that I'm going to strip out all that copper. I could bring the motors to the scrap yard and get money for that, but you know me, I like to melt down some metal. So this seems like the easiest way to get this copper out. Hold it down with a board and just grind out the outer casing with the grinder, making a slice down it so you can spread it apart and pull it out. Super simple. And this one was a little bit different than the rest. It's actually a little bit easier to remove the copper from that one too. This one seems to be like a big pain in the butt. So I did leave this one so I can show you guys how easy it is to get it out of the motor. And you just need a 5/16 or 1/4 inch ratchet wrench or open end wrench to remove it. Most of them just have 4 screws protruding through to the other side. Super simple to remove. Just give the body a few taps with a hammer and you will now release the aluminum and release the copper from the fan. And then we'll do the same thing we did on the other ones. We will hold it down with the board and cut a slit down the side so we can spread it and remove the copper. Now we need to get all of this copper out. And this could be a pain in the butt at times. So in this video, I actually used a Sawzall to cut down one side and then pop out all the copper. Well, in a recent video I did, I actually used a machete knife to cut down the center of it, and that actually seemed to work pretty good because using the Sawzall, you have a lot of copper flakes that are all over the place that you don't want to lose because it's copper. So now I'm going to show you it's easy to just tap something in there to spread it apart and push it upward. And I'm using a hammer to tap it out. But again, in that recent video, I actually used an air chisel. The air chisel works much better if you have an air compressor. If not, this is probably the way you need to do it. 4 more of these to go. So this is the other type. It's pretty easy to get this out. You just have to make individual slices down each piece of copper. And when that's done, you can just easily push it down and it'll pop out the other side. In this, I just use a screwdriver. I'm pretty sure anything that will fit inside there will work just as good. So all the copper is now removed from that, and it was pretty much just as messy as the other type. So for this, I need to remove all of the strings and all the plastic that was around those pieces of copper. I'm just going to use a small propane torch to burn away the tape and the springs that are holding all those copper pieces together. And looking back, I really didn't even need to do this. I could have just put it over top of my furnace and let the fire from my furnace melt away all of this gunk that's holding this copper together. But for the sake of this video, this is how I did it. So all that gunk is now removed and it's clean copper. So I'm going to now carry my crucible, a brand new crucible, to my furnace to start melting down this copper. This furnace is actually a homemade furnace. I no longer use this furnace, so if you've seen any of my recent videos, I now use the Weber 12kg furnace. And I have an affiliate link, and I'll leave that in the description below, as well as a 5% off coupon. So let's bring all this copper to the furnace and start melting it down. So all the smoke is now coming off of the wire that has oil. Some of this wire from one of the motors actually had oil on it or some kind of residue. So that's what you see burning off. So definitely stay upwind from this so you're not breathing that in. So the copper is now molten and I'm ready to pour it into solid copper ingots. So it's the following day and I'm using a smaller furnace. And the reason I'm using this smaller furnace is because it melts down so much quicker than my larger furnace. Same thing you saw before, the oil is just burning off and causing this flame. And I'm going to melt down the rest of this copper and pour it into ingots. All right, guys, bringing these copper ingots into the garage, and I'm going to get a weigh-in on all of these copper ingots. See what the total is that I got from 5 of these motors. And all of these motors were different sizes, so each one of them did have a different amount of copper within them. But hey, copper's copper. And again, some people might argue and say, oh, I would have brought it to the scrapyard, because I do think scrapyards pay $5 per motor. So really, it doesn't matter how much copper is in the motor. You're only going to get $5 from the scrapyard. So I would probably suggest bringing the smaller motors to the scrapyard and keeping the larger motors for yourself. Because like I said, if it's only $5 per motor, give the scrapyard the smaller motors. It has less copper in them. So that's a lot of copper. So with all of them individually weighed, I'm now going to add them all up on the scale, and we're going to get a total of how much copper I got out of all those motors. And I got a total of 8.04 pounds of clean copper.